Hello, and welcome to all of our viewers here in Neepawa, Manitoba, and right across Canada. This is NACTV Reads the News. My name is Jackie Snyder, and today I am reading the Neepawa Press of Wednesday, May the 24th. And we would not be able to be on the air without viewers like yourself supporting us. We are kept alive by many, many volunteers and wonderful staff. We broadcast on Neepawa Access Live, which would be channel 30 over the aerial, WCG 12, channel 30 on MTS, and on Bell Express View 592. So if you like what you're seeing and want to see us stay on the air, your support either by volunteering or by a monetary donation would be very much appreciated. You can contact us Monday to Friday at 204-476-2639 or anytime at our email address nactv@wcgwave.ca. Okay, first page of the press is council news. Lagoon and Fire Hall big ticket items in budget. This is the Neepawa Town Council meeting of Tuesday, May 16th, and this is reported by Owen Devereaux. Neepawa's new budget for the upcoming year has received final approval. Town Council unanimously passed the financial document after second and third reading on Tuesday, May the 16th. The general operating fund for the year is over $8.3 million. Last year's operating budget was a little over $7.6 million, though the town only needed to spend around $6.5 million of that during the fiscal year. The largest year-over-year increase is seen in the utility operating fund, which is budgeted at $12.7 million. The 2016 utility budget was around $5.04 million, but only a little under $3.7 million was spent. The majority of the additional money needed for this year's utility fund is going to a required lagoon pilot program and upgrade, $10.26 million. Almost all that will be covered through the town's reserve fund, which has been accumulating for several years. A pilot program examining the requirements of the proposal are still being finalized, so the final design and therefore the final cost is not yet known. Mayor Adrian DeGroot said the primary reason for the investment into the lagoon is to ensure the town is within required regulatory compliance. DeGroot noted that they don't expect the upgrades to cost as much as they've set aside. They're simply ensuring the money is available just in case. He concluded that the town's administration is actively looking into possible partner funding to cover a portion of those costs, and that they're confident offsetting revenues will be acquired. Now this continues on page 6, which is the third last page of the paper, so that's where I am now. Along with the $10 million set aside for the lagoon upgrade, the budget also includes $2 million in funding for the construction of the new fire hall, $750,000 for trunk sewer and new water connections, $270,000 for road development, $170,000 towards the cemetery, and $104,500 for parks and recreational improvements. Because of the use of the reserve funds, the average tax impact to residential property owners will be a mill rate increase of just 1.99%. That means for the average home with an assessed value of $200,000, the tax rate will increase an additional $40.23 for the year. On a commercial property with a value of $500,000, the increase will be around $145. Additional details on the budget and links to the financial document can be seen online with this story at mywestman.ca. Council has approved moving ahead on a traffic impact study for the subdivision planned for the former CN property. A request for tenders were sent out and quotes were received from 3 companies. ACOM Canada Limited for $10,500, Associated Engineering for $17,000, and Stantec for $20,000. The bid from ACOM was accepted. The study will be a detailed analysis of the magnitude any proposed development will have on the surrounding transportation system. A revised rate for garbage and recycling collection has been approved. The bylaw establishes the rates for residential and commercial properties through to 2019. The proposal involves a $7,500 increase for industrial, a $100 bump to personal care homes and hospitals, and a 3% increase for all other properties not previously noted. The revised rate structure will assist in the recovery of costs associated with annual townwide garbage pickup on vacant lands. A 3-bag residential limit remains in place. Residents requiring the pickup of more than 3 bags can purchase a bag tag at a cost of $2 per tag from the Town of Neepawa Administration Office. Pickups shall be completed as follows: residential, 1 time per week; small grocery and schools, twice per week; hotels, restaurants, large grocery stores, gas bars, 3 times per week. Council is exploring granting an official heritage designation to Beautiful Plains Museum. It would allow Beautiful Plains more ability to pursue federal or provincial heritage funding. Third reading on this designation will occur on June the 6th. 4 new municipal billboards are being purchased. The signs will be situated at the edge of the major entranceways into town and are expected to be more modern looking and durable. The billboards are expected to be in place by July 1st. The total cost for the 4 signs creation and installation is estimated around $15,000. The Franklin Memorial Hall Committee sent a letter to Town Council asking for support for their renovations efforts. I had a big fly on me there. It kind of distracted me for a minute. The committee is hoping to move forward on several improvements, including finishing basement walls, installing new wiring, upgrade lighting, and remove old concrete pads at the 2 entrances, and installing new concrete pads. Council took the request under advisement. So on page 6, there is a listing of the capital expenditures in chart form here, so you might want to have a look at that. And there is a picture of the proposed new fire hall that we're looking at that now. $2 million has been set aside in the Town of Neepawa's financial plan for the new fire hall, architectural exterior design shown. So that's a pretty impressive building there. So now back to page 1. I didn't read the caption under this photo on the front page, but improvements to the lagoon are among the capital expenditures that are being pursued in the Town of Neepawa's new budget. Another item of note is the new fire hall. So that's it for Town Council reporting. So now moving on, and I am on page 2. This is the looking back section researched by Cecil Pittman. So 80 years ago, Tuesday, May the 18th, 1937, For the first time in its history, the Grand Orange Lodge of Manitoba is to meet in Neepawa next week for a 3-day session beginning May 24th. The Grand Lodge of the Black Chapter of Manitoba will hold its session Monday. On Tuesday and Wednesday, the Grand Orange Lodge and the Grand LOBA will convene. The men are to meet in the Masonic Temple and the ladies in the Orange Hall. On Tuesday morning at 11:30, the delegates will parade, headed by the Legion Band, to the cenotaph, and a wreath will be placed on the monument. So 70 years ago, Thursday, May 22nd, 1947, John L. Jackson, 100-year-old resident of the Kelwood district, died at home Tuesday. Mr. Jackson came to Canada 53 years ago from his native village of Staindrop, Durham, England, to Alexander, Manitoba, moving to Estevan. In 1896, he settled at Glenshith, as Kelwood was then called, and resided on his farm until his retirement. Mrs. Jackson died in 1915. And 50 years ago, Friday, May 19th, 1967, to open in June, construction is underway of a new 3-bay self-serve car wash business for Neepawa, located on number 4 Highway, which is now number 16 Highway, adjacent to the Agassiz Drive-In. Carmen Poole, operator of the Agassiz Drive-In, announced the new business this week. He also announced that Don McGilvery is now associated with him in both operations. Known as Thrifty Car and Truck Wash, the building will house 2 closed bays and 1 open bay for car washing, as well as a sales room at the front and gas pumps. The business is scheduled to open June 15th. It features Livingstone equipment, which provides hot, softened water with 600 pounds of pressure. So 40 years ago, and the pictures here are associated with this story, Thursday, May 26, 1977, Abram Unroe, 43, of Arden, died approximately 7 p.m. Friday at the Health Sciences Center in Winnipeg, following a 2-car collision east of Neepawa on Thursday evening, May the 19th. Driver of the second vehicle, Shirley Boychuk, 24, of Winnipeg, is still in serious condition in hospital. The 2 passengers, 1 in each vehicle, sustained minor cuts. The accident occurred approximately 7 p.m. Thursday near the Husky service station east of Neepawa. Mr. Unroe was driving an eastbound 1972 Datsun, and Ms. Boychuk a westbound 1976 Mustang, when the 2 vehicles came into collision. So there's a picture of the 2 vehicles just above there, and it was quite an accident. Okay, 30 years ago, Thursday, May the 28th, 1987, the Neepawa Ministerial Association is objecting to the Safe Grad program taking place in Neepawa this year, saying they oppose a safe grad that includes liquor being served to people under 18. According to the Ministerial Secretary, Richard Kunzelman, this is really the only objection the association has to the concept of a safe grad. We have a few qualms that liquor will be served at all or will be available at it. Our concern is that we feel as though students can have a good time without having a drink. And 20 years ago, Monday, May 26, 1997, the federal all-candidates debate went ahead in Neepawa last Wednesday with one notable exception. Liberal incumbent Marlene Cowling was a no-show. After agreeing to the debate earlier in the month, Cowling bowed out at the last minute. Her her organizers got in touch with the Neepawa and District Chamber of Commerce to say she wasn't coming at 6 p.m. The debate began at 7:30 p.m. It was her loss, said former Neepawa and District Chamber of Commerce President Carrie Maxwell. But still, I'm disappointed. I just don't know what to make of this situation. And finally, 10 years ago, Monday, May 26, 2007, the Conservatives maintained their stronghold on the St. Rose riding as first-time candidate Stu Breese romped to an easy win on Tuesday's provincial election, besting his nearest competitor by over 1,500 votes. Once considered a swing riding held at various times by the Liberals, NDP, and Conservatives, St. Rose has been Tory blue since Glenn Cummings won it from the NDP back in 1986. He was returned in every election since then before stepping down when the writ was dropped. Even with that solid track record behind him, Breese said he is taking nothing for granted going into Tuesday's election. Victories are never handed to you, Breese said. Okay, so there is a notice here from the Tangled Thread Quilt Guild. There is a quilt show coming up, and that's taking place this weekend on Friday, May 26th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Saturday, the following day, May 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Manawanka Gallery, which is Arts Forward, I do believe, 293 Mountain Avenue. A vendor will be in attendance. So that's always an amazing show. The creativity of our local quilters is amazing. Okay, now I am on the opinion page, page 3. The Good Folks of Lennox Valley. This is by Kevin Slimp. A new feature debuting in next week's Neepawa Press is a weekly serial named The Good Folks of Lennox Valley by Kevin Slimp. Kevin began writing the column in 2015, and it has appeared in hundreds of newspapers. We will begin running the column from scratch next week, and we would love to hear what our readers think of it. Kevin visits hundreds of small towns each year in his role as news guru in the publishing world and in his travels for Ken and Kevin's Road Trip, a blog. And this can be found at the website kenandkevinroadtrip.com that follows the travel of Kevin and his friend Ken through the back roads of North America. For 20 years, his syndicated columns related to publishing have been found in journals and industry publications on 4 continents. He has garnered the nickname Guru from his followers in the journalism world, and many call him by that name today. Kevin says his inspiration for writing The Good Folks of Lennox Valley was to follow in the footsteps of his favorite childhood columnist, Louis Grizzard, whose stories about his hometown were found in hundreds of newspapers each week. Through this weekly serial, we'll meet the folks who make up Lennox Valley. We'll get to know the clergy, the politicians, the local celebrities, the teenagers, and others who call this place home. Richard Whiting, a daily newspaper editor in South Carolina, wrote, "Kevin takes readers to another place and provides them with an escape from the political pundits, the angry voices, and the goings-on within their own lives and communities." Mark Rhodes, publisher of the Missouri Valley, Iowa Times, wrote, "One of our normally cranky readers cornered me and said, 'Well, you finally did something right.' He went on to tell me how he loves the good folks of Lennox Valley." We hope you will grow to love the characters in Kevin's story, as many readers throughout North America have over the past 2 years. Now, just below that, a letter to the editor, and this comes from Robert Sopak, MP, Dauphin Swan River, Neepawa. View from Parliament Hill, investing in Riding Mountain National Park. Some of Riding Mountain National Park's historical landmarks will be getting spruced up with almost $6 million in federal infrastructure funding announced on May 16th. In my role as your MP, I have been a steadfast advocate for Riding Mountain National Park to ensure that it receives the funding we deserve. I am very excited to see continued funding to improve infrastructure and continue to provide a great destination for families and travelers. The Visitor Center, also known as the museum, is a must-stop location for all new visitors to Riding Mountain. Over $3 million is being allocated to make the building more accessible, with an improved layout, updated and new exhibits about the park's natural and cultural history, and new technologies for the multi-purpose theater. In addition, at least a dozen iconic heritage buildings throughout the park will be restored using the other $2.7 million. The Eastgate National Historic Site on Highway 19 near McCreary is one of the locations that will benefit from the new funding. It is the last of the traditional entrance gates that were built in the 1930s at many of Canada's national parks. Also on the list for a portion of this restoration funding is the bandstand near the main beach and Grey Owl's cabin on one of the popular year-round trails. A number of significant investments have been made in Riding Mountain over the last 4 years, including the $40 million for road and drainage improvements on Highway 10 and the recent upgrades to the Wasagaming campground. Additionally, on Canada Day 2015, I was pleased to announce $8.8 million in funding from the federal government that is being used for ongoing and upcoming projects, including protecting the ecological integrity of Clear Lake, the recovery and discovery of the Aspen Parkland, upgrading the Wasagaming stormwater system, rehabilitating several buildings used by the Operations Center staff, and improving paving, landscaping, and lighting at several locations around the Wasagaming town site. We are fortunate to live in such close proximity to such a beautiful and unique national park. 2017 is shaping up to be filled with a number of new and unique events to celebrate our 150th anniversary of Confederation, and will entertain visitors that take advantage of the free entry to the park. Once again, I encourage each of you to take a drive and explore the nature and history that Riding Mountain National Park has to offer. I also want to say a big thank you in advance to the wonderful park staff and the Clear Lake country businesses for all their hard work in making Canada 150 a year to remember in Riding Mountain National Park. Now, still on page 3, just below that, there is a thumbs up from Val Wilson here in Neepawa. Val says, thumbs up to the new worker in charge of removing the posters from the bulletin board at the post office in Neepawa. Actually left a few that have not expired. That's thinking outside the box. So if you have a thumbs up or a thumbs down, you can send it to the Neepawa Press, or by taking it in person, 243 Hamilton Street here in Neepawa, by fax 204-476-5073, or emailing it to news@neepawabanner.com. Now here is a great My Neepawa picture, an archival picture from the Beautiful Plains Museum. Isn't that a wonderful picture of days gone by? Early settlers know a thing or two about teamwork. This photo, part of the Beautiful Plains Museum's collection, shows an old-fashioned work bee. It is more than a normal plowing bee, although there are 8 or 9 teams pulling plows. They are being closely followed by at least 3 teams pulling seed drills, and then followed by what appears to be 4 teams pulling harrows. The plowing was immediately followed up by seeding and harrowing, so as to get the seed into the freshly plowed ground as quickly as possible before the soil dried out. In the center are Mr. and Mrs. William Danoon with children Ethel and Jean. So just below that, new book tells the story of homesteading. And this is a submitted article. James and daughter Diane Bryden recently published their family history, The Stalwart Brydens, From Scotland to Galt to Portage la Prairie, a family history of 100 years in Canada. Diane will speak about the book at the Neepawa Public Library on June 1st at 5:30 p.m., as well as giving a feel for what life was like at the time. The book tells the story of several generations of Brydens in Scotland, their immigration to Canada, their life in Galt from the 1820s to the 1870s, and finally their move to Manitoba and their life in Portage, Neepawa, and the Portage Plains. 7 of 8 children migrated west in the early 1870s, said Diane Bryden. We tried to tell the story of their struggles as well as their successes. Born in Portage la Prairie, James, or Jim Bryden, moved to Ottawa in 1950 and worked as a soil chemist. The family portrait that hung on the wall in the homestead farmhouse inspired him to start the research on his family's roots more than 30 years ago, before the web or digitization made documents more accessible. Dad traveled across North America, hunting down documents in archives and libraries and meeting with relatives from all branches of the family tree to gather photos and information, says Bryden. He used his scientific skills to compile all the tidbits into a story. When Diane retired in 2013 from her job overseeing public outreach on Parliament Hill, Jim asked Diane to put her MA in historical geography to use and help him finish the book. As she delved into census info, church records, and other historical records, Diane found some startling documentary evidence that refuted many of the stories in family lore and fleshed out others that were unknown. Dad and I discussed the new interpretations for hours. He sent me back several times to find additional documentation that would verify the course of events. He wanted to make sure we got it right. The book was self-published in late December through McNally Robinson in Winnipeg. I think many people in Manitoba will find this story interesting, said Bryden. It describes the homesteading experience in the 1870s, and lots of people share that history. After a brief illness, Jim died unexpectedly on January the 3rd. The books arrived the day before he passed away. He very much wanted to share this story through a book tour in Manitoba. After Neepawa, Bryden will speak to the Manitoba Genealogical Society branches in Brandon and Winnipeg and at the McNally Robinson bookstore before presenting at events in Ontario. Diane will lay out the evidence compiled to piece together some of the stories in the books and relate some highlights of the Bryden's life in Manitoba. Books may be ordered online at McNally Robinson. Copies will also be available at the event. The Stalwart Bryden's book tour dates in Manitoba in Portage la Prairie, Portage Regional Library, May 30th at 6:30 p.m., Brandon Public Library, May 31st at 4 p.m., Neepawa Public Library, June 1st at 5:30 p.m., co-hosted by the beautiful Plains branch of the MGS, which is the Manitoba Genealogical Society. And at the Manitoba Genealogical Society, Winnipeg, June 5th at 7 p.m., and McNally Robinson Bookstore, Winnipeg, June 6th at 7 p.m. Now, if you think that you're interested in any of those dates, you may want to clip that out and put it in a handy place like your refrigerator, on the front of your refrigerator, because I'm sure I read that pretty fast for you to jot down. Okay, I am now in the sports section, page 5. NACI students run for it. This is a submitted article, and there is a picture here along with the story. Over the past 6 weeks, around 30 students from NACI have been taking part in the Run For It program, which combines run training with mental health, wellness, education. This is a special kind of running club for all levels that focuses not only on the physical aspects of running, but all the benefits of exercise on our mood, stress levels, and overall well-being. Running has been proven effective in helping individuals better manage stress, anxiety, and even symptoms of depression. Before each run, students were given a short lesson, approximately 10 minutes, either on run training or a related mental health wellness topic. The running club had 2 scheduled 5-kilometer runs per week, on Wednesdays after school and Fridays before school. There is a good chance you have seen some of our runners around town. This past Sunday, May 14th, around half the students from the NACI Running Club took part in the Shoppers Love You Run for Women in Winnipeg. We were invited to attend this event sponsored by Shoppers Drug Mart as part of the Run For It program. All proceeds from the event went to the Mood Disorders Association of Manitoba, who support mental health programs and initiatives across the province. Many of our runners achieved personal bests, and some even placed within the top 10% out of over 900 runners. Overall, it was a great experience, and everyone involved, adults included, had a blast. So what does the caption say? A portion of the Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute NACI Running Club recently participated in a special event in Winnipeg, the Shoppers Love You Run for Women. So congratulations to those young people. And still on page 5, we are the champions, my friend. This is also a submitted story. The Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute NACI Tigers capped off their Zone 7 season with a dominant 21-5 win over Carberry in the championship game on Wednesday, May 17th. The win moves the Tigers into an inter-zone showdown with Stonewall in Portage-La Prairie. So it doesn't say, but I am assuming that's Tigers baseball. Good going, girls. Okay. I am now on page 7. This is the classified section, and there are a couple of obituaries that I will read of local people. Catherine Riz, Nee Marcinuk. It is with great sadness that we announce the peaceful passing of our mother, Catherine Riz, on May 13th, 2017, at the age of 96 at Country Meadows Personal Care Home in Neepawa. Left to cherish her memory are her sons Ernie Riz of Surrey, BC, Marvin Riz of Pinawa, Manitoba, her 7 grandchildren, Juanita Van Norman, Lisa Kupiak, Bradley, kind of small print here, sorry, I've lost my place. Lisa Kupiak, Bradley Riz, sorry about that, Laura Riz, Krista McDonald, Brian Riz, and Sue Ellen Watson. She is also survived by 10 great-grandchildren: Peyton, Tristan, Lucas, George, Devon, Hallie, Catherine, Winston, Ava, and Chloe. Also left to mourn her loss is her sister Martha Blahetka of Neepawa, her brother Ernie Marcinuk from Regina, sisters-in-law Sylvia Marcinuk, Olga Marcinuk, and Margaret Riz in Dauphin, and many nieces and nephews and their families. Catherine was predeceased by her husband Stanley in November 1987 after 48 years of marriage. Her parents, Samuel and Mary Marcinuk, brothers Nick Marcinuk and his wife Molly, John Marcinuk, Mike Marcinuk, and his wife Iris, and Wilfred Marcinuk. Mother was born in Dauphin on April 26, 1921. She was raised on a farm east of Dauphin near Sifton, along with her 6 siblings. From Mom's account, her early years at home after school consisted of tending to the garden, farm chores, and helping to look after her siblings, Mom being the second oldest of 7 children. On October 29, 1939, she married Stanley Riz, and they took up farming together 2 miles north of Dauphin, where they began raising their sons. Mom enjoyed farm life, especially gardening and tending to the farm animals. In 1952, the family moved to Firdale, Manitoba to start a new life on a larger farm. There, Mom continued her love of gardening and made many new friendships while joining the Edrins Ladies Aid Group. Mom was an excellent seamstress and also an exceptional cook. She also loved to crochet and made several handmade quilts, giving heirloom quilts to her grandchildren, which they all treasure. Soon after her husband Stanley passed away, she bought a little house in Neepawa and settled down to many happy years there, where she was closer to her church and some of her family and friends. She was an active member of St. Dominic's Roman Catholic Church and Catholic Women's League. In 1995, Mom had the opportunity to travel on a group pilgrimage tour of the Holy Land, Rome, and Egypt, which was a highlight of her senior years. In 2009, when Mom could no longer keep up with the responsibilities of owning her own home, she moved to an apartment in Kinsman Court, where she was closer to many of her friends. The ills of dementia slowly began to overtake her, and she made her final move to Country Meadows in March of 2013. There she received the quality care she required until her end. Many thanks to her caregivers and staff at Country Meadows for the excellent and compassionate care Mom received. Thanks as well for the prior care Mom received from Dr. Ong and Dr. White and many personal care workers in Neepawa. Mass of Christian burial will be held Friday, May the 19th at 11 a.m. at St. Dominic's Roman Catholic Church, 416 First Avenue, Neepawa. Of course, that date has passed. A private family viewing will be held at 10 at St. Dominic's. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the Alzheimer's Society of Manitoba. And White's Funeral Home was in charge of the arrangements. Rest in peace, Mother. And the second obituary that we're going to read is that of Gertrude Wachowski, near Nee Kasprick. It is with heavy hearts we announce the passing of Gertrude Wachowski at Neepawa Memorial Hospital on May 3, 2017, with her beloved husband and family by her side. Gertrude was born to Joseph and Mary Kasprick on September 17, 1926. She came from a family of 10. She was born and raised and lived most of her life in Polonia. On October 26, 1955, she married Donald, also known as Pat. In 1959, they purchased a farm in Polonia and started their family of 6 children. Their first child entered the gates of heaven when born. Gertrude was an amazing woman. Her personality and character was a rare combination, to say the least. Her smile was her adorable trait, along with her cuteness. Almost everyone who met her just wanted to give her a hug. Gertie was a loving, strong, loyal, independent, and hardworking woman. She could always be seen doing many tasks that needed to be done on the farm, since many times Donald was working away from home. Her home on many occasions was filled with friends and family enjoying each other's company, to having a good old time meal or playing an interesting game of 500 or 7 beats all. Her symbol of her loyalty and love to Pat gifted them a marriage of 62 years. In 2000, she was diagnosed with cancer but managed a full recovery. Later in life, she loved to go cruising the back roads with Pat, checking out nature's beauty, reminiscing of old times, or visiting family and friends. Being with her family and friends were her most cherished times and proudest moments in life. Her love for all her family was unconditional. On May 3rd, she lost her battle to cancer. Left to cherish her memory is her beloved husband, Donald. Her children, Doreen Burton, Maxine Nagorski, Valerie Callan, Shelley Islifon, and Robert Wachowski. Sisters Elizabeth Yakachuk and Mary Kabaki. Grandchildren Shane, Devin, Miles Nagorski, Morgan, Braden, Dustin Islifson, there, I've got it, I think I have that, Islifson, Tiffany Shute, Christiana Gowan, and Joe Wachowski. 6 great-grandchildren, 5 sisters-in-law, and many nieces, nephews, and friends. Gertie will be greatly missed, forever loved, and never forgotten. A celebration of Gertrude's life has taken place on May the 9th at St. Dominic's Roman Catholic Church in Neepawa, with Father Mark officiating. White's funeral home was in care of arrangements, interment at a later date. Donations can be made to Neepawa Palliative Care or Cancer Care. So our condolences go out from NACTV to both the Riz and the Wachowski families. And finally, we're on the back page. Page 8. Horticultural Society passes on love of gardening to children. This is by Miranda Laybourne. Members of the Beautiful Plains Horticultural Society, BPHS, were in front of their garden beside the Roxy Theatre on Thursday, May 18th for their annual spring plant sale. About 50 gardeners showed up to purchase plants, and Mrs. McPhee's grade 1 class from Hazel M. Kellington HMK School was also on hand to help spruce up the Society's flower patch. Mrs. McPhee and her class are part of the Little Green Thumbs program by Agriculture in the Classroom, Manitoba, whose aim is to teach students about agriculture. The students help to deadhead the crocuses in the BPHS garden beside the local theater. They had a lot of fun and went home with bouquets of their own. Marlene Van Hove, a member of the BPHS, says it's nice to see children get involved with gardening at a young age. Gardening is the thing as far as I'm concerned for the young people, she declares. It gives them lots of knowledge about growing their own food, and they loved it. Van Hove says she hopes that people of all ages will take more of an interest in gardening and that more people will elect to become members of the BPHS and join the Society's current 11 Green Thumbs. BPHS President Brent Hunter, who works as a florist at Beyond the Garden Gate, says he too hopes to see an increase in the Society's membership. We just need some young blood, you know, he says. We want to do a lot of stuff. We used to look after several things. Now we do the planters around town, and we look after this garden beside the Roxy. We meet the second Monday of every month, usually at the library. In the wintertime, we meet at 7 p.m., and in the summer at 7:30. Our summer meetings are usually held in members' gardens. So we do a tour of the gardens and then we have our meeting. We try to have speakers at meetings too. This year, the BPHS will be planting red and white flowers in the planters around town to celebrate Canada's 150th year as a nation. This will also be a running theme at the Society's annual flower show, which is being held on Thursday, August 10th at the local Royal Canadian Legion Hall. Members bring their best plants and they're judged. We'll have a prize list out that people can enter, and anybody in town can also enter. There's arrangements, there's house plants, there's cut flowers, there's vegetables. We have photography too, for any photography buffs out there. It costs $10 to be a member of the BPHS. So we'll have a closer look at the pictures here now. And these were all, well, they were, this one was taken by Miranda Laybourne, the top photo. Mrs. McPhee's grade 1 class from HMK are part of the Little Green Thumbs initiative by Agriculture in the Classroom, Manitoba. They help spruce up the beautiful Plains Horticultural Society's garden beside the Roxy Theatre on Thursday, May 18th during the Society's annual plant sale. And they look pretty proud of themselves, and they should be. And just below that, on the right-hand side, plants weren't the only thing for sale at the plant sale, as some members brought garden art. And over on the left-hand side, Donna Todorock was one of the gardeners who stopped to check out some of the plants available at the BPHS's annual plant sale held on May the 18th. So that's it for reading from the Neepawa Press for this week. Kathy Jasnick will be in a few days to read the Neepawa banner, and until then, I hope all our viewers have a wonderful spring day. It's absolutely gorgeous out there today. Bye for now.